To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.
Helping you along the way. Helping you to make it through another day. Yeah. Everything you need to know that you never knew, that you need to know. Lockhart Perspective.
Well, hello, and I just want to say really quickly, we are in for a treat. This woman has no need for any introduction here because she is always welcome, and you all know who she is. Dr. Cynthia McKinney is with us today on the Lockhart Perspective, and we're going to get right into it. She and I have been talking offline, and I want to tell you, she is such a personable person, and it goes to show that she is, because look at all the wonderful things that she does for others. Now, how are you?
Well, as we discussed earlier, I'm a bit discombobulated because my favorite book that I'm currently reading that helps to explain the predicament that we're in from a military perspective has been taken from my room. I mean, that's the only thing I can think that happened. I have turned this place upside down trying to locate this book because I think it's such an important volume that whenever I do an interview, and I've got interviews scheduled all day today, I highlight this book because I think other people should get it. It's not in print. The author is dead, but he was a military man who understood the challenges facing our country, but he also understood some solutions. And that's why I was reading the book, because clearly what we are doing now and what we have been doing is not working. And in fact, in the cover of the book, on the inside jacket cover of the book, it says, "We're at war and we're losing." And that, I think, is clear to anyone who's paying attention today. We're losing. And so I'm tired of losing. I've spent my whole life fighting, and I want to win. I want to win like our previous generation. They fought and they won. I want us to win too.
That's an impactful statement. Can you tell us the name of this book? Are you at liberty to do that?
Yes, of course. I want to share it. I want people to read it, but it's out of print, so you have to find it, as best you can. I found it under used books online. But anyway, the author's name is Colonel Don, D-O-N-N, de Grand Pré. I know that's a mouthful, but and the name of the book is Barbarians Inside the Gate. So he recognized that the United States as a political entity has been infiltrated by an enemy that was not recognized at first as such. And the reason this book is so important is because there are people who thought you and I were the enemy. They thought we were the enemy. They think that Latinos who have come to this country legally are the enemy. Asians who come to this country, any immigrant community who has come to this country legally, they have been viewed by and large as the enemy, but they are not the enemy. And this military man understood that you have to name the target. If you don't name the target, then it could be anybody. It could be Joe Blow down the street. And so, if we're at war, and we are at war because now our bloodstream and our brain is the battlefield. So we are at war, and in order to understand the enemy, we've got to be able to identify and name the enemy.
That's important. Even as far as biblical battles are concerned, I remember, and this is one of my favorite battles. It was the Battle of Ziklag, where David had returned from another battle and had discovered that his entire camp had been destroyed. And he cried out to the Father, and he says, what should I do? He said, you should go in, you will go in, and when you go in, I don't want you to leave anything living. He said, you shall recover all. Take everything back with you from this battle. And so I think that in order for us to understand exactly what we're dealing with strategically, it is important to identify what it is, to know what you're supposed to do when you go in. I look at Deborah. She was the exact same way as a captain. She knew that nobody else was going to do the job that she had sent them out to do. She went in, she executed the situation in a lot of ways, and then she went on back. As we look at this enemy from within, I want to know, what do you see happening in our country over the next couple of years, because they've gained a foothold within our country. As far as one big country is concerned, China, for example, has built an encampment basically around us as it relates to the ports. I know that right now we're hearing a lot of things go on about not having the supply for food, not having any of the Christmas gifts being able to come in, or, whatnot. What say you? What do we do?
Well, as it relates to China being in control of ports around the world, they had a business plan, and the United States didn't have a business plan. The United States had an imperialism plan, a theft, a robbery plan. And so the one thing that the Chinese are willing to provide as a business now to other countries is infrastructure. And of course, you've got the Asian Infrastructure and Investment Bank that was created and mainly funded by many different countries, but mostly it was founded by the Chinese. And so I've been to Africa, for example, and you ride on the roads or you see the convention center, and these are all built by the Chinese. So the Chinese were providing, as a business opportunity,
the Belt and Road Initiative.
Exactly. Whereas the United States was providing what? Imperialism. They were moving in military bases. And so that was for conquest. And so now what we've got is these two different systems, these two different ways of thinking and organization and organizing. You've got them competing with one another. And that's just normal politics. What is not normal politics is, for example, you look at me and you say, okay, I need to disable that brain because I don't want that brain to function, because I want that body to be used as in servitude to me. That, I think, is that's and then you have this idea, of course, there's another idea that's long-standing, which I wrote about in my book. Oh, I should hold it up. One book didn't get stolen. This book.
Yes, When China Sneezes.
Yeah, this
absolutely.
Book, where we talk about eugenics and the whole idea that some people deserve to live and other people don't deserve to live. And that is an age-old U.S., it's a good old U.S. idea. And in fact, there are many people, in one of them, the most influential, Edwin Black, who has done all of this research on eugenics, believes that the ideas that are behind eugenics, the Superman and all of that, were founded in the United States and then transported or transmitted over to the Nazis in
Of
Germany,
course, absolutely.
by way of the money that was given to eugenicists here in the United States. They
Mm-hmm.
had the best professors at the best universities, so the best journals. They could get their articles printed, and then, of course, where the money goes, you also have the politicians following, and so this was, you could say, eugenics is our gift, the U.S. gift to the world. Well,
Mm-hmm.
now we've got people who combine the technology to actually take people out
Alert.
and under
Ava
the
on the
guise of
interview.
something else, and disable other people, render them basically functionless, and you've got the Georgia Guidestones. In fact, I am planning a trip to take some friends of mine up to see the Georgia Guidestones, because I think it's
I
very
want to see
important
that. Mm-hmm.
for people to understand that this is a long-standing idea. Depopulation is not something that just happened.
Mm-hmm.
Depopulation is an idea that came along with the eugenicists.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Georgia Guidestone says the global population should be 500 million.
Oh, wow.
Well, we're 7 billion now. So
And
that's a lot of depopulating that needs to be done. And then we've got the technology now
that's
that
what I
we
wanted to
didn't
talk
have
about too.
before. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the
Mm-hmm.
problem. That is a major problem.
So, do you see the technology as replacing us? Because I really feel like for jobs and things of that nature, they're shoving everybody into cities by raising up the prices on housing. Other organizations coming in, purchasing all the houses just on streets and blocks of them.
Yes.
And so everybody is being pushed into cities. I know they've got an anticipation of having a smart city in Arizona as well as others. And I'm sure that's just a test pilot. But how do you think that affects us as human beings if they're replacing everything, including AI, with healthcare? People who went to school for billing and coding, just general women that you and I may know, or men that you and I may know. Now they're no longer going to have the jobs. It's moving at a breakneck speed.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. This is all happening very fast. And I want to lay something else on you. I just participated in a very intensive, the name of the conference, I participated virtually, but the name of the conference was Exit and Build. And I believe that if they want us in the urban areas, then we need to get out of the urban areas. And there is no rescue plan. There is no parachute for you and me.
Mm-mm.
We're going to have to create that, and we're going to have to create new community. We have to, we've got the principles, the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, although I don't talk about Kwanzaa very
Mm-hmm.
much
Mm-hmm.
because of
Mm-hmm.
the founder, who um, from
Mm-hmm.
United Slaves, which has some history,
Yes, yes,
the
yes, yes.
COINTELPRO.
But
But
the foundations, is the pillars are good.
the pillars are good. That's
Mm-hmm.
right. And so this community economics, and we having a sense of purpose. These things we need to do, and we've got to do it quickly. Other communities have understood that they have to come together and form new kinds of networks and allegiances, because life as it used to be is not going, because of these barbarians that are now inside the gates. um, we are subject to be eliminated at any
Mm-hmm.
moment. And
Yeah.
you're absolutely right about the replacement. So you look at African Americans who are replaced by undocumented African American laborers,
Mm-hmm.
who are replaced by undocumented workers. You look at potential African American scientists who are replaced by documented scientists from Asia in particular, and then you look at even including the medical field as well, because they go to school. The India is a socialist country, which means that there is no banker in between the student and the professor.
Oh,
That
wow.
means that they go to school, and basically the cost of the education is subsidized. They don't graduate with $200,000 student indebtedness. And so then when they come here, they can work for far less than the US student who has been trained in US institutions and who is graduating with that tremendous amount of debt. They can, the documented imported scientists, it's called the Great Culling Machine
Wow.
by a friend of mine. Well, they are able to come here and work for far less and think it's a whole lot more.
That's right. Because of the cost of living in their country, coming
That's
into
right.
this foreign space, now they're basically considered like feeling like a millionaire.
Exactly.
I wanted to talk, now that you mentioned the AI portion as well as the engineers and all this great stuff. I wanted to talk about the most recent candidate that has been held up from being confirmed. Dilawar Sayed is the gentleman that the current president has decided he wants to run the SBA. Now, a lot of people would have thought, okay, that's not a problem. You know, he's an entrepreneur and everything else. But there's one other piece that he has that is in his back pocket, and that is that he also owns a very large AI company for the healthcare. I believe it's called Luminata.
Oh my gosh,
Lumata,
what a
yeah,
name.
Lumata. And
Okay,
so,
well, that's still close.
yes, it is very close. And I actually I have the name of the company. I want to make sure that I'm not misquoting the name because I do understand that it is Lumata. Let me get it corrected here. But my point is that it appears that he is able to bring this gentleman in, but I feel like he's going to have a whole lot more going on than we thought he was. The name of well, first of all, let's just look at this. Dilawar Sayed, until last year, was the president of Open, an organization for Pakistani entrepreneurs. It's called Open Global. For me, whenever I said before, the name Open, I have to start to put the two pieces together. But this company is the world's first premier entrepreneur network for Pakistani and Asians all throughout the world. It was founded in 1998 in Boston, and Open has grown to have 11 chapters in some of the world's most dynamic hubs of entrepreneurship. In the United States and the UK, Pakistan's Open membership boasts leading entrepreneurs, business leaders, and corporate professionals. So this is a way where he has brought all of these individuals together. Now, in tandem with that, this
That's
gentleman,
centralization.
that
And we
centralization.
always have to be careful of centralization. The young people that I know who are politically active and extremely idealistic are going or are advocating decentralization. So when you see centralization, that should send a signal. This is not the direction in which we want to go. This is taking away freedom. It's not granting freedom or
By
defending.
any stretch of the imagination.
That's right.
Now, previously, this same gentleman worked under the Obama administration. Now, he previously served as the founding chairman of the California Entrepreneurship Task Force. And he was also a member of President Obama's White House Commission on Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. So,
Okay.
you see the
You know,
pieces.
that's why you're such a gem, because you dig deeply, and we have so many superficial thinkers, and it's not for everybody. Everybody doesn't have to dig deeply, but we have to know people who do, who are also trustworthy, so that we can understand the real deal as opposed to the smoke and mirrors deal that they would uh, sort of,
Want us to follow.
exactly. Yes, that's right.
So, considering all of those pieces, when I looked at the fact that they were holding him up, and by they I mean, they were saying, well, we don't want to confirm him right now because we think that he's anti Semitic. We don't want to confirm him now because, of Planned Parenthood and the amount of money that the SBA gave in the last stimulus that wasn't even under this particular administration. So I see it as being a smokescreen to push this gentleman in and to usher in the AI corporation, which he does own a company, which we just talked about. And all they do is bring in software for the solutions for the healthcare world. Big contracts, they're all over the world. And so I see this as being a really quick way to replace us in a facet of industries. I don't believe, and let me ask you what you think. I don't believe that it's by coincidence that we have lost so many nurses and so many doctors and so many different healthcare professionals. It's almost like they're taking out these folks and they are replacing them. Even with a triage nurse they now have that is a robot. So
That's right. I've seen that robot, and they are testing robots in China at the Winter Olympics. And so they've got a robot that will circulate throughout the stadium, reminding people to wear a mask and spray.
Wow.
They've got a different robot that's going to spray. And, I don't want a robot telling me what my ailment is. I just, certainly don't want the robot treating me. I don't mind using a catalog or a database of information in order to understand better what my ailment might be. But I certainly don't want to entrust my life and my death to the robot. Not yet, anyway, because they have, even Facebook has admitted that they're getting rid of the AI because they can't distinguish black face.
Yes. Yes.
So,
I saw that just recently. I was like, really? So no more facial recognition, only
Right.
because you can't recognize. Okay, got you. I was like, okay, well, really? Seriously?
That's
Speaking
right. So if we're not doing the coding
uh-huh,
of the
uh-huh.
artificial intelligence, then it is definitely artificial.
Well, listen, we've only got a few more minutes left, and I did want to talk about. Oh, I'm getting a terrible echo now. I did want to talk about one last thing. I think we've got about 7 minutes left.
Okay.
I do want to talk about the changing of the name of Facebook. Now, we already know that they changed it, and we already know that it is Meta. But we also know that it is the introduction, and I shouldn't say introduction, it's the mid lane of the metaverse. A few years ago, they started with the headsets that you could put on your head, and you could literally virtually go inside and become whatever or play whatever game was being run. This particular metaverse that he is talking about literally now has the capability, and people actually have the ability to purchase land, to purchase homes, right now inside of the metaverse. Do you think that the introduction to the Bitcoin type of world where the money wasn't in your hands, but it was, on a someplace else, and then the different app cards that have apps to them that allow you to move money in between it. Do you believe that all of these different things have been a setup for where he wants things to go? I watched the recording of him discussing, and by him I mean the gentleman from Facebook, Zuckerberg, basically saying in this metaverse, you can have parties, you can invite your friends, you can go to your friends' gatherings from all over the world. This is where they're going. How?
It sounds like the holodeck on the USS Enterprise.
Yes, it does.
And so, and I can understand it would be really another form of drug addiction.
Yes.
So you eliminate, if your goal is to eliminate competition from the rest of the population
Mm-hmm.
and to eliminate a portion of that population as
Mm-hmm.
per Georgia Guidestones,
Mm-hmm.
then it's not a stretch to say, okay, well, we can get lost. You see it in science fiction pictures all of the time,
Yes.
where people get lost
Mm-hmm.
in that other world, that matrix world,
Mm-hmm.
that blue pill world. And
Yes.
so basically, this seems to me to be the realization of the blue pill world, which is not the real world, but it's the
Wow.
realization of the not real,
Not real world.
not real
And that's
world.
right. But I think that right along with this injection that everybody is getting, as well as the food that we're eating,
Yes.
all of these things are playing a big, big, big piece to replacing us. Because somewhere along the line, we're not able to connect all those dots, right? But they're doing it for a reason. Why? Because as the schematics have been laid out, and they are the ones who laid it, they know exactly what X, Y, and Z has to be. Um, is there anything else that you would like to add today? Because you've given us a great book that we need to go look up. I want everybody
Yeah.
to go on, make sure that we said it last time. We're going to say it again. When China sneezes, you need to know what's up, and we need to get that book. So when China sneezes is one of the latest books that is written by Dr. Cynthia McKinney, and I do hope that each and every one of you go out and grab that, read it, get the book that she's suggested, get yourself prepared.
That's
Dr.
right.
McKinney, we have a lot of people that seem to send emails asking, what do I do? How do I prepare myself? I don't know what to do. What do you recommend that people do as it relates to getting themselves protected? You said the cities are not the place to be. What do we do? How do we
I,
arm ourselves or get ourselves together? We've got
I
4
think
minutes.
I think now is the time to find people of like mind, of like spirit,
Mm-hmm.
with whom you believe you can live and divide work.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to create the kind of community, intentional communities are what they are called. And we need to escape this dragnet that is about to be lowered on us. Imagine people are fleeing Australia because they can't move from their homes, and the CDC has a plan to quarantine people inside their neighbors' homes.
Mm.
So they're going to go block by block. We need to, if they have written the plan, we need to read the plan and believe that they intend to implement the plan. We need to protect ourselves, and as well as protecting ourselves from the spike protein, which is a whole different thing. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but we need to get into that as well, because I don't think you can tell people too many times what they need to do every day for the rest of their lives, because these people are psychopaths, these
Mm-hmm.
people are mad,
Mm-hmm.
and they have already pulled the trigger. Like Colonel Don de Grand Pre says,
Mm-hmm.
we're at war and we are losing.
Wow. Dr. Cynthia McKinney, thank you so much. For the last 30 minutes has been power packed. I know your schedule is always busy. If you have some time and you want to come back and sit with me, please
Yes.
do. Just let me know. I would love to help to get the rest of this word out.
Okay.
Very selective, and I appreciate you for selecting us to bring your information. Please have a great day, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, folks, that was Dr. Cynthia McKinney, and I want to tell you guys, it has been a great 30 minutes. So we've got about, 30 seconds left in the show. Boy, wasn't that good. Thank you, each and every one of you, for tuning in to this show today. I cannot wait to see her again, because there's so much that I really want to get down to the bottom of, don't you? You know what I always say here on this show, and that is that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Most High Yah. Until we see each other again, please take care of yourselves and take care of one another. To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.
Helping you along the way. Helping you to make it through another day.